Okay, Mrs. C. Oh, Mrs. C, what are you doing here?
Je sais pas. I don't know. Then what do you say?
I don't know.
Wait a minute, where'd you get the knife? You probably need this too.
Wait a minute, where did you get the knife?
Haven't you figured it out yet, Ty? I'm the one who has done this to your friends.
Words. Go ahead.
What are you going to do with that knife?
What are you going to do with that
I'll show
knife?
you exactly what I'm going to do with this.
Perfect, then we'll go down and, yep. And then,
What? Do not alleviate yourself yet, Ty, for within this tomato lies the secret to my morose success. It was but a simple experiment gone wrong. One day after school, I was studying bacteria samples I had taken from the cafeteria when I found something divergent from anything else that I've ever seen. At that moment, I had no idea I was face to face with a potential weapon. My first instinct was to send it to Penn State to see if they could decipher the obscure ability of these new bacteria. As usual, however, they never returned my call. By the way, I have an artificial tomato I could bring.
ooh, awesome.
I was so upset because I needed their affirmation as to whether or not this was indeed a new species of bacteria. Their rejection led me to act surreptitiously, and every night after school, I would sneak into my lab and study these new creatures. Day and night I spent having to nurture the delicate nature of them as they multiplied. Listen closely as I recount the part where things take a turn for the worse. One night around midnight, it was time to start the experiment. I kept a mouse a student had found in the school and brought it to me. This was to be the first victim of my bacteria. I was not sure at the time what the bacteria would do, if anything, but the results were shocking. I extracted the smallest amount of bacteria I could and approached the mouse. Before I even reached it, it started acting very strange. I observed that the very presence of the bacteria made the mouse become sluggish and hampered its movements. Immediately I realized the severity of the situation, but before I could place the bacteria back in its container, my arm went numb and I dropped it. In a sense of urgency, I looked for the first thing I could to contain this fast-spreading bacteria before it infected the whole school. The closest thing I could grab was this tomato. After seeing and feeling the effects of the bacteria firsthand, my thought was to destroy it. However, in remembrance of the neglect from Penn State, I decided to secretly keep running more tests and hope that I would become the greatest biologist in the world. I'd never dreamed of testing the bacteria on humans. That is, until tonight. I was working with the bacteria, as I had done in the past nights when I heard voices. I knew that if anyone were to see me, my secret would get out, so I devised a plan. I locked all the doors and waited for my first victim. I knew right away that someone would try to run out of the front door, so I placed the bacteria on the door handle, and there I hid, waiting behind the plants. As Marcus banged on the door, the bacteria claimed him. I watched my first human experiment fall to the ground, and with paralyzed limbs and slowed breath. He appeared dead. This was the first time I had a chance to observe the full effects of the bacteria. They caused the human body to become paralyzed and the lungs to slow to the point where no breath was noticeable. Knowing that the others would rush to the spot after hearing Marcus's attempt to get out, I quickly escaped to the next trap. The next victim was Alex. I knew someone would attempt to escape through the prop room, so that was the next place I planted the bacteria. I placed it above the doorway so it would fall upon anyone who entered. I hid underneath the steps and waited for the bacteria to claim the next victim. I heard a loud thump up above, and that confirmed the bacteria's devastating effects had worked again, knowing that Alex would not be able to go anywhere, being paralyzed and all. The next victim was actually by accident. As I stopped to take a drink out of the water fountain, after leaving the auditorium, some of the bacteria must have fallen onto the fountain and infected the entire water supply. It came to no surprise then when Michael was taken over while sitting on the toilet. Then there were two. I knew that trapping them would be harder, since they knew better than to go to the previous places where the bacteria already were. Noticing the last two victims, you and Christian, I strategically placed the bacteria inside a bottle of Gatorade, which would be irresistible to them. I was so right, because you fell for the tempting drink and gave it to Christian. I hid behind the garbage can and watched as Christian took a drink. I escaped soon after I knew it wouldn't take long for the bacteria to take their effects. After the bacteria claimed Christian, I was ready for you. I planted bacteria every place I could in hopes to catch you. However, the bacteria didn't seem to affect you. Your immunity to the bacteria is crucial in order for me to fully understand these marvelous creatures. So you see, Ty, that is why I brought you here. I am going to do everything I can to make my bacteria work against you. After I do this, I will be known as the greatest biologist of all.
Okay, I say words.
I'm trying to think what they are.
And you know.
He says, I still don't understand where my homework could have gone. And you know what? And then he says, you know what else I don't understand?
And?
If he didn't kill my friends, who did?
Yeah.
And he looks down, and he is wearing, oh dear God, red shoes. Oh no! I'm scared of the red shoes.
Could I have you run that way?
No!